Hello and welcome to the next episode of of Watch It, Bro. I am Tristan,
And I'm Marshall.
and we are the bros who watch it, so you don't have to. Although you would like it a lot more if you did. And today we are going to be looking at, well, you tell the folks what we're looking at today since it was your choice.
Today we're going to talk about Tremors. One of my, I want to say, yeah. We don't talk well, do we?
No, we really don't. And this is all just time I have to edit, so thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'll just start over again.
Yeah, well, actually, on that note, good segue into the editing. I want to give a shout out to Jeff of the Big Campaign podcast because he's the reason that I know how to do this. And so, why don't you take a minute to plug your other podcast?
Big campaign podcast. I play Keegan. We are a repo company trying to make it in a not post-apocalyptic, but think Blade Runner or Snow Crash, where technology's up, magic's there, and we're just trying to make our way in the world. So come check us out at Big Campaign Podcast.
Definitely do. I listen. I've been listening since day one. Great podcast if you like D&D or Pathfinder. And now go ahead and start over with your thoughts on Tremors coming in.
Okay, so today we are going to talk about Tremors. It is classified as a horror movie. It's a movie I've watched since I was little. My dad used to put it on the TV when it would like made for TV not AT&T, TNT, when it would play. So it'd be on a lot, and the TV edit takes out a bunch of the swearing. So,
It scared the heck out of me when I was a kid.
oh yeah, I've got a couple notes that we'll go over, but it's a fun little horror. I say horror comedy. It is.
It's got its funny moments.
Yeah. So you have the specs of the movie. Want to
I do.
rattle
Yeah.
off really quick?
Sure. Actually, but before we get into that, just wanted to say, like, this was an interesting experience for me because I haven't seen it in 30 years. So, up until this point, my previous experience of Tremors was as an 8-year-old, a 7-year-old, watching it and just being complete. I mean, it's horrified me for a long time. I was always afraid that something was going to jump up through the ground and eat me. So, getting to watch it as an adult, it was like, okay, it was it was way different. But yes, Tremors. It was released January 19th, 1991, directed by Ron Underwood, written by Brent Maddock, S.S. Wilson, and Ron Underwood. It stars Kevin Bacon, Fred Ward, Finn Carter, Michael Gross, and Reba McEntire.
America's sweetheart, Reba McEntire.
Is she?
Yes.
I feel like that there's a lot of actresses that people just kind of throw out the term America's sweetheart to.
She's country through and through.
Yeah, I guess America's sweetheart. She's America's country girl. We like Reba McEntire. Well, I'll just say that people like Reba McEntire. Fair.
Fair.
All right, but since this was your choice and your pick, why don't you go ahead and take us through the movie?
Yep. I will be leading the conversation this time. I've got my notes, and let's talk about Tremors. See, I mean, it opens with the logo Tremors. It lets you know what it is right away. I don't remember there being a lot of production tags right at the beginning. It was just Tremors, and then we go to the desert. Uh,
Kevin Bacon peeing.
yes, he is peeing over the side of a cliff while his buddy Earl is sleeping in the back of a truck. And we find out fairly quickly at that point that they are handymen. They do odd jobs. They establish a shooting evens and odds, where you
Rochambeau.
Rochambeau, whatever you call it. But Earl and Val do this to decide who's going to cook breakfast, or we find out they do it pretty regularly to figure out who's doing what at any given time.
And we find out that Kevin Bacon usually loses, or Val usually loses.
Yes, Kevin Bacon is Val and Fred Ward is Earl.
Yeah, Fred Ward passed away recently.
Did he?
Yeah, I want to say it was a year or two ago. I don't
Aw.
have this prepared, so let me just quickly pull it up uh, so I don't take too long. He said Fred Ward.
Yes.
Yeah, May 8th, 2022, he passed away.
Oh dang.
So just last year. No idea how.
That that went dark.
Dark real quick. Welcome to Watch It, bro. You never know where the conversation's gonna go.
Yeah. Any comments about this opening scene? I think it does a good job of establishing them as friends. They tend to bicker. They you know what they're doing, and you kind of get an idea of who they are really quick.
Yeah, they definitely actually one of the things I really liked about it was I saw kind of an older brother, younger brother dynamic to them, where if you would have told me that they were actually siblings, I would have absolutely believed that.
Yeah, definitely. They have that type of relationship. So from there, after they get up, they get their breakfast decided. This is something also that Earl touches on several times that they have a plan. They need a plan. He's got his week planned out while Val's trying to take the easy jobs. Like, no, no, we got to do this job because it's on the schedule already. We got a plan. So they're fixing the fence up in the desert where they're at on the cliff. Then they start headed into town where it is trash day, and they got to go get trying to decide which of the residents of Perfection to help out first when they notice the one of the geology students. Her name's Rhonda. She's the newest. She's the newest seismologist student, and It sounds like it is a program the local college has set up where they send out these students for a couple weeks at a time to monitor all the seismic readers out near the town.
And do we ever figure out where that college is located and how far away it is? Because there's not a lot around Perfection.
No, no, there isn't. No, it is it might be a community college in Bixby or something in Bixby. This is which is the nearest town to Perfection, but they, I don't believe they ever said where the college was. I didn't write that down. I remember that standing out. Just this is the new student. The last student left.
Okay.
So Val's excited to meet Rhonda, the new girl in town. So they're driving over to meet her, and Val's excited. She's gonna be hot. I'm gonna date her. This is gonna be awesome.
Basically going down his list, checking off all these boxes of what she's gonna be, and then he pulls up and she's got none of them checked.
Nope. She's dressed in khaki shorts and a floppy hat, sunscreen on the nose, just trying to do her job.
She looks kind of like Ugg from Salute Your Shorts.
That's a very good comparison.
Yeah.
So they talk to her briefly, and then just find out she's new in town, and then they head back to their plan. And actually, this is one of the setups. Right away, Rhonda asks them if they know of any blasting or drilling in the area, because she's been getting some weird seismic readings that just recently she said there hasn't been any information on them for the last 3 years, and just in the last week or two they've been getting some weird readings. Val and Earl have no idea what she's talking about. Like, no, there's nothing going on like that here. So she said, okay, I'll just look into it. And they maybe the equipment's faulty. Val and Earl take off. And what was that?
Oh, just saying, yeah, they establish right away that there's something going on,
Hmm.
so that it's not like so we don't have to wait to get into it or be like, where did that come from? Immediately we start off at the point of she's like, hey, I just took over for this student and I've noticed in that lapse of time we have some unusual activity going on.
Yeah, the movie is actually a lot shorter than I thought it was. I remember it being quite a bit longer, but it moves pretty quick and it doesn't waste a lot of time.
No, it doesn't. It gets right to the point. But there's not a lot else that they can really do.
Yeah. So the boys head back to town. Earl's talking to Val, saying, "Hey, change your. We can maybe look into the seismograph equipment for Rhonda, just to kind of get in her good graces. And Val, you need to change your priorities. She's a good girl. You should. That's who you should be looking for, not these bimbos that break nails and have no substance."
Bobby
So
Joe Frank on his
yeah.
um with whatever her name was. No one got the name right anyway. I don't even think
Yeah, but it solidifies that relationship where the more not familiar, but the brotherly relationship where he's like, "Hey, settle down. You need to. I got your back, but
Right.
you
You
need
need to
to,
your priorities in a significant other are all wrong.
yeah. And your priorities and work. I know what's best.
Just
Listen to
shut up
me."
and listen to me. Yeah.
Yeah. And
So
this is where they enter the town of perfection.
population 14.
Yes, the city of perfection, established 1902, population 14, correct. And I counted them all, and there's 14 people. So
I didn't actually count them all. I just took their word for
I
it.
I counted.
Okay. Well, good to know.
But the movie does a good job of establishing the town as it's a small town. You have 14 characters, 15 with the new addition of Rhonda in town, but it establishes you get those connections really quick, and you're able to pick up on what part people play in the town and how they are. I mean, they pull up to what is it, Walter's General Store, and as the first thing out of the truck, they see Melvin, one of the teenager kid, bouncing a ball, and first thing Earl says is, "Don't touch my truck. I'm gonna beat you if you do." Which means he's kind of a troublemaker in town. He likes to get into things, basically. Any comments?
I want to meet Walter Chang
Okay,
because I recognize Walter Chang right
I
away.
made notes about Walter Tank. So, inside we meet the famous, famous Walter Chang of Walter's General Store,
Yes.
and
Who?
I'll let you talk about Walter a little bit.
Oh well. All I know is I saw him and I went, "Hey, it's the grandpa from Three Ninjas."
Yes, yes, he does play the grandpa in the Three Ninjas movies, all four of them, I believe.
That's right. There is four.
There is 4. And that is a movie that you and I watched countless times growing up.
Oh yeah.
Just the kids fighting with karate or overcoming odds like that. It's always a great movie when you're young like that, and Surf Ninjas, things like that. And it was good to see him in there. Also in the store, we meet Bert and Heather. That's Michael Gross's character and Reba McEntire's character. They're a married couple. We'll get into them a little bit later, but Bert's saying that if the students from the school ever find anything like uranium or anything, the government's going to come and kick out the whole town and just take over. And little bit of a paranoid,
A little bit.
come and get me, uh, type
Yeah.
of guy. I'm sure if you've watched, if you're listening to this, I don't know if we put a spoiler warning up, but we're going through the whole movie, so we're going to spoil stuff. And if you know Bert, you know he's gun toting and very.
Yeah. What is the word?
I I I don't know.
He's a one man army.
Yeah, yeah. Like think of I'm sure he follows conspiracy. Think of Dale from King of the Hill with way more guns.
A doomsdayer.
Yeah, yeah.
A doomsday prepper.
Yeah, but this is where again we also hear of Val and Earl's plan for the day, for their week, for setting up things. Because Walter's cooler starts going on the fritz, the compressor goes off and starts making a loud squeaking noise, and Val's like, "Let's take a look at this," and Earl's like, "No, we got places to be, we got a plan. We got to stick to it." And Val's like, "Yep, yep, we got a plan, so we don't have to work right now."
Yeah. He doesn't particularly like working so much. It seems he wants to kind
Yeah,
of go through.
or just take the things as they come up in front of him.
Yeah. Yeah. More of an opportunist.
But as they head out, we are treated to a shot of the desert, a nice rumble, rocks moving, and we watch the seismic equipment moving on the meters, and then a near grab of Ron as she's getting into her car, or at least a shot of something coming up to get to her feet with that little jump scare noise. Cha.
Yeah. Something's definitely following her. They
Yes,
kind of, since they already had the mention of the seismograph activity, seismic activity, I guess you'd call it. And then now that it's something's coming after her or following close behind her, it's setting up the fact of, hey, they're moving closer to the town.
At this point, we get to Val and Earl working. It's garbage day, so they're picking up garbage. Earl's using the Caterpillar Earth Mover to move large piles, not large piles, but a few piles of trash around from what the small town produces in the yard. Then we move to. I feel like I'm missing something.
Well, if you are, I don't have it.
Next job on our heroes list. is septic tank over at Melvin's where Melvin lives. And this job in particular is two guys are talking about their lot in life, the work they have to do here. Earl's saying he's just one good he's this close, this close to leaving town and just not looking back. Val's like, what is the thing that would push you over the edge, huh? What is it? And then the line on the septic sucker breaks and stuff starts flying everywhere. And next scene is them packing up their truck.
Yep. They're getting out of Dodge.
They are getting out of Dodge. They have decided that this is enough. They can do better things in other cities. They are packing everything.
Yep. Yep. Their days in perfection are behind them.
Yep. Soon to be population 12.
It's quite a hit.
Yeah. So after they get all packed up, we meet two of the other residents of Perfection, Nancy and her daughter Mindy, who incidentally played Lex in Jurassic Park.
Yes, she did. I recognized her almost right away.
Yep. You see Mindy bouncing around on her pogo stick, and Nancy comes over and is flabbergasted that they're actually leaving town. She offers them work for building a new pottery kiln for her. A few months' work. She throws in meals, she throws in beer, and she's like, "Come on, what do you say?" And it cuts to them driving out of town, whooping and hollering, celebrating their their escape from protection, and they can't believe they turned down free beer.
Right. Yeah. The whole I'll throw in beer, and then you get them both considering it, and then they just immediately cut to the next scene to kind of leave you hanging like, oh, is that what got him to stay? And it turns out, nope, we turned down free beer. Why?
Because they've had it. They got to get out of town. This is they are at their wits' end apparently, and they're headed out. And now the movie takes a turn.
Does. Yep. We are not in another road trip movie. We are in
Um, we're in a horror movie where everybody's trapped.
that takes place in one very small town.
Yes, but on their way out of town, they notice, or Val notices, a man up in a power pole, and they're talking about that being a job, or they couldn't do that job because it's so high up. But Val recognizes the jacket. He's like, "Oh, that's that's Edgar. We should go check on him. What, did he get drunk and pass out up there? Because he's just sitting up in this power pole." So they pull over, go to check it out. We get our callback to the odds and evens, the Rochambeau.
Hmm.
Val ends up having to climb the power tower.
And a throwback to him always losing.
Yep. And once we get up there, we find out that Edgar is dead. So we are now at perfection,
Yep.
population 13.
Yes, they decided to bring Edgar back home and get him looked at by the doctor.
Yes. They took him to the doctor, Dr. Jim, and his wife Megan.
I did not know her name was Megan.
I took notes.
Well, did they say her name was Megan, or did you just throw a name out there?
No, I looked it up because they didn't say it. Well, they didn't say it then. They said it later.
Okay, they probably did. You're right.
But yeah, so they take Edgar's body to the doctor to get him checked out, and they guessing it's a heart attack or something. Doctor's like, no, he died of thirst. He must have been up there for 3 to 4 days, just sitting waiting to die. They all find that very weird, very odd, and disconcerting.
And that is
It is why would somebody sit up there for so long?
right. Again, it sets up that these things are getting closer,
Yeah,
and and so this is the third time that they've come up so far, and we haven't seen them yet.
correct.
We don't know really anything about them,
Right.
which
The movie hasn't shown us what they are. We know there's some seismic activity, but not a lot else at the moment.
yeah, which I like the suspense building. I like the wonderment. I like the mystery of it.
Yeah. At this point, the movie cuts to a farmer. We will find out later his name is Fred. So, Farmer Fred, he's got some sheep, he's planting some crops, he's doing his thing, and the sheep start freaking out. Fred's trying to figure out what's going on, and you see dirt kind of moving around him, and then he just kind of gets sucked into the ground.
Yep, that horrifying moment.
Hmm. And shortly after, I believe it's no, they cut back to Rhonda again. To just kind of keep showing us the seismic activity. But the boys are back on the road. They did their due diligence for Edgar. See you later. They're headed out, and
Hmm.
then they notice Fred's farm.
Yeah, they notice that. They notice the sheep, don't they?
Yeah, yeah. The sheep pen is empty. There's blood everywhere. It looks like they've been slaughtered. A bunch are missing. Walking around calling for Fred, trying to find out where he is, and all they see is his hat sitting on the ground. And then they walk over to the hat, and they pick up the hat, and there you see Fred's face looking straight up at them.
Yeah, clearly, 1991 plaster cast of
Yes,
Fred's face.
but at the time when we were when we was young, that scene used to scare me, and not in a bad way. Like, oh, it's a scary part. It's his face. But
Scared me in a bad way.
I
I
have fond memories of this movie.
I don't. I this might be one of the reasons why I don't to this day watch horror movies.
Could be.
That and The Sixth Sense, but we'll get into that later.
Okay. So after they find Fred's head just kind of sitting there in the sand under his hat, it cuts to Val and Earl driving away as fast as they can.
Yeah, as you should.
Yep. They are headed back to town to warn the people. They think somebody's out there cutting people's heads off and killing people. They are they're kind of in a panic. This is where we find they're on the road out of town, out of the valley, basically the Perfection Valley, Perfection Town, and they run across two road workers. They're just doing some digging, some repair work, and it's like, "Hey, get out of town, guys! There's somebody killing people. You better run!" And they take off. Road workers like that was weird, right? Somebody leans out somebody leans out of their car, "Somebody's killing people, run!" and drives off. You're like,
Yeah, basically, I mean, the one kid's like, you can tell the guy that's been doing it forever and his apprentice, and the apprentice is the one that sticks. It's like, oh, what's going on? And the other guy's like, oh, they're just messing with us. Don't worry about it. Briefly, before he, doing the jackhammer and he drills down and hits blood.
yes, he drills down into the ground and hits this orange tomato soup, basically, is what you
Pumpkin
see
guts.
coming out of the ground. Yeah, pumpkin guts. But yeah, it starts oozing out of the ground. You hear a shriek, and then the jackhammer just takes off, ripping through the ground like it's being pulled from under the ground. And then the kid falls to the ground because the cord of the jackhammer is wrapped around his leg, and he gets dragged a little ways up a little hill and just disappears into a puff of dirt. Poof.
That's right. Yeah, he's just gone.
Yeah. And the other worker chasing him, and as the other guy gets poofed off in the dirt, that causes a rock slide. This narrow spot in the road, basically, where it's kind of cliffs on either side, and rocks come down and block the road and crush the other construction worker.
Yep, two people dead. Now, are they part of the population?
They are not considered part of the population. They are a road crew from out of town.
Okay, so we're still at population 13.
Yep. Back in town, Val and Earl causing kind of a panic because of Fred. Melvin's kind of freaking out. It's like, oh God, Fred's dead. Earl or Edgar's dead. And they find out the phone is currently dead as well. Maybe those road workers were working on the phone lines.
No, I think they were working on the road, and then when the tremor that we haven't named yet took them into the hillside, the collapse is what caused the phone
Hmm.
lines to get all messed up. Or Walter Chang hasn't paid his bill.
Or that. Regardless, the phone that they have in the general store can't call out of town anymore. And that's the only phone that could call out of town. Val and Earl are, after they find out the phone's dead, they're sent to get the cops. And they find the road is blocked at that point. And they find the dead road workers. And while they're trying to get out of there, they back into the side of the cliff where the truck gets stalled and hung up on something. Val's pushing the truck and soon breaks free, and they head back to town to say, hey, the road's blocked. We can't drive out to get help. What they find attached to Val and Earl's truck is a large snake like creature that has been ripped in half.
Yes, one of the things.
The Tremors.
One of the tremors. Yes.
So they get back to town. They find the long worm snake thing and sell it to Walter for $15 after haggling a little bit. And we cut over to the doctor and his wife. It's nighttime now. They're unpacking their car. They had been into Bixby earlier. They got stuff to help build their little house that they have getting set up, and then the power goes out. They lose lights to their little camper. When they go to check the generator's gone. Doctor's like, the generator's right here. His wife's like, are you sure it was right here? It's like, yeah, there's the cord. It's going in the ground. So they pull on the cord. The generator gets shot out of the ground. One of the biggest mistakes you can make in a horror movie is being curious, and the doctor is curious.
Yes, he is.
He's like, "What's this? What's going on? Why is that here?" And within seconds, he is grabbed and slowly pulled underground.
I have that in my notes. Something appears to have pulled the generator underground. Let's walk towards that.
But his wife tries to save him, throwing down a couple 2x4s for him to grab onto. He's like, help me," as she gets dragged down, and then he's gone. She freaks out and runs to the car where they had just finished unloading it, crawls inside, closes the door, knocks over the little radio they had sitting on the back in the back. Music starts playing. She's sitting in the car trying to start it, and it starts shaking and moving and getting pulled underground.
Yes, and to which she turns the headlights on.
She turns the headlights on, she honks the horn, and it zooms out, and you can see the headlights go into the air a little bit and then turn black. And then there was no more sound.
Right. So that brings our population down to 10?
Yes. We lost Fred, we lost Edgar, we lost Megan, and Jim.
Yep. So we're at 10 plus Rhonda.
Yes, 10 plus Rhonda. So Walter, back in town, back at the general store, Walter's already making money on the worm that he got. He's making Mindy take a picture of it or take a picture with it. Nancy's giving him some money, and he's already decided how he's gonna recoup his $15 losses.
Now, and she's sitting there with that worm on her, and either she's a terrific actor or she is not convinced that that thing isn't real.
She does not look happy,
No.
which is fair. I mean, and she is a good actor. Jurassic Park was great.
Yes, yes, but she's also, I mean, this is 3 years before Jurassic Park.
True.
94, right? Jurassic Park.
Yes, but this is where they're realizing, with the road being blocked up, which they discovered earlier, the not being able to radio out, Bixby is 36 miles away, and the only way to get there will be to ride horses.
Right. What you just said about the radio, they established that, I believe, the last time they're at Walter Chang's, they mentioned that since when the phones are down, he says, "Hey Walter, why don't you use the CB radio out of here?" And he says, "Well, we can't because in the valley we're surrounded by solid rock all around us."
Yeah, the rocks of the mountains around the valley prohibit the radio signal from getting out, which is why they have the phone to get out. So they're kind of isolated. They don't have a way to talk to the outside world, and they don't have a good way to get out. So yeah, so Earl and Val hop on the horses and head out of town. And this is when Bert and Heather give them the gun, say, "Be safe. We'll keep an eye out." And now that they have an idea of this worm thing that's hanging out in the store, they're deciding to kind of all hunker down and keep each other safe and keep an eye on the valley. Melvin pretends the worm's trying to kill him. He comes screaming out of it with wrapped around him. Bert raises his rifle and almost shoots him, but he's like, "Hey, it's a joke. I'm being a jerk kid again."
And you could just tell that Earl has been done with this kid for like a year.
Yeah. So Earl and Val ride out of town, make it to the doctor's house. They were hoping that the doctor. It sounds like the doctor was on the other side of the collapsed road because they thought the doctor may have gone to Bigsby because they thought
Yeah.
that they could drive with them. And when they get there and they don't find the car, like, hey, we just missed them. They drove somewhere. If they're going to town, maybe they're going back to Bixby or what. But then they hear the music underground from the little radio in the car, and they start trying to look around, see what they can find, and they start digging in the ground, and they see the headlights of the car that have been pulled to ground just sitting straight up, staring at the sky, and they're like, "Well, shoot."
Yeah, and they don't make any effort to like dig deeper and see if anyone's in there or still alive. They're just like headlights and then they're gone.
Yeah,
Like not very heroic.
yeah, I suppose. But I mean, if they could hear music from the car, they may have heard pounding or screaming if somebody was alive in there.
I guess that's the thought. If someone was alive.
Right. Well, and that car was a I didn't write that down, but it looked like one of those big station wagons with a back
Yeah, it was an old station wagon.
from where they dug down to the few a little bit to the headlights to the actual part of the car. You've got about what 4 feet of hood to dig down.
Yeah, yeah, 3 to 4 feet probably.
So, and whatever it was, if it took a car down, why wait around to find out if it's gonna come get you?
True, and you're also talking about. I mean, that's not dirt. That looks like pretty much sand.
Yeah, sand and
Like
dirt and grapple and
it's
just
just
all
it's
the
desert. You're not gonna
yeah.
dig down very far. It's just gonna keep filling up.
So they take off. It's daytime now. They're riding out, and the horses start freaking out. They get a whiff of something. Something's around. Val gets bucked off, and we find one of the horses got grabbed. Got the worm things wrapped around the horse as it's flailing on the ground. They're freaking out. It's like, holy crap! I got the horse, and they start kind of backing up a little bit, and the ground starts to move. And this is where we see our first well, they haven't come up with a name yet, but I'm gonna name them. They're graboids.
The dumbest name they could have come up with.
Well, they grab you. Yeah, graboid.
Yeah, no, graboids. We'll get into the naming of them later.
But this is our first scene. They're like, hey, the little worm thing's got the horse, and then the big head of the thing comes out of the ground. They're like, oh,
Right, we get to see the rest of them.
yeah. They book it. They one the other horse that didn't get grabbed just ran off. So Val and Earl start running, and the graboid kind of shrieks, dives into the ground, and starts chasing them. And you see like a little fence post falling over as they run by. The ground kind of churning up behind them. And as they're running, they see like this water covert where I'm guessing it helps prevent with flooding since it's a valley when the rain time hits. So they try and jump it. They don't make it. They're hanging there. They fall into this concrete covert, and the creature smacks into the side, cracking the wall. And we learn a few things. One, they're not the they don't know what's ahead of them. Two, they can't go through concrete,
Yes.
and they think they knocked it out, and then they realize they killed it by letting it run into the wall at full speed. So they're kind of excited about that, and then they kind of get jump scared by Rhonda as she shows up. It's like, hey, what's going on? Jazz hear anything? I was getting some weird readings just a second ago.
Yeah. Oh, I still have no idea what's going on. 4 people have been killed by these things, and I'm just out here by myself. La di da.
So they Rhonda and Earl start looking at the pulling apart the concrete to look at this thing that smashed in, while Val's up top digging out the back end of it to get an idea of how big this thing is.
Right. And they pull the whole thing out, don't they? Or no?
They unearth it. Val digs up around it, and I mean he can pull the little bit at the end of the tail up, but these things are what 20 feet long.
Something like that. 20 between 20 and 30, I'd say, yeah.
So they've got the end kind of out. He's kind of got it unburied. They can see how it moves through the ground with a little runs like, oh, these little spurs must move and help propel it through the ground and all that. But she looks at her data and realizes there must be three more. There might be about three more of these things based on the readings from the seismographs in the area. So they're deciding to get out of Dodge. Rhonda's truck's not too far. They can head that way, and we they're headed to Rhonda's truck. Um, Val, no, not Val. They're headed to Rhonda's truck, and Earl gets pulled into the ground.
Right. Yep, yep.
He's freaking out, and we realize it was a prairie dog hole. He made a misstep and his foot went into a prairie dog hole.
I'd be on edge too, though. I mean, you know,
Yeah, I mean, you watch something come out of the ground, eat your horse, chase you, and this 25 to 30 foot thing can move under the ground like a whale in the water, or I guess a better shark in the water. Um,
yeah, sharks
but
are.
whales move in water too.
Whales, yeah, sharks eat people a lot more than whales do.
Yes, it's a better comparison, but then they realize something's moving around them. There's something close. So they book it to these large rocks that are kind of near, and they're able to climb up in time. They can see the one that's got them cornered is the one that had the snake thing ripped out of its mouth by the truck. You can see the dead kind of not the ripped little tentacle thing with the other two trying to get them as they climb up on these rocks.
I did not pay attention to that at all.
So they decided their plan is just to wait them out. They test it with boards every so often, but they end up sleeping on the rocks for the night. in hopes that the things will just go away. Let them be so they can get to the truck.
And that they'll get bored.
Yes, they'll get the board. When they wake up in the morning, we find during the night that Val and Rhonda had kind of cozied up, and he had put his coat on her, while Earl was by himself on another rock.
They just let him be cold.
Yeah, yeah. But it's that oh look, Val put the coat on her. He's changing, maybe.
Yeah, I didn't put that together either.
Oh, that is okay. That's why I'm here to take notes.
I took notes too. I watched the movie.
Yeah,
I think you liked the movie more than I did, but we'll get into that later
definitely.
at the end. But they are on the rock.
But yeah, they're on the rocks and they realize the thing's still out there. They there's some debris and wood near the rocks. They were able to pull up and start hitting the ground. Little hand, a little not little hand, the little little snake tongue thing comes out, grabs the thing, and like, well, what do we do now? We're stranded. And Rhonda's got the idea to kind of pole vault from rock to rock to get to the truck.
Right. Well, and that the fact that it's still there in the morning right there, that's a kind of a callback to Edgar.
Yeah, yes, Edgar may have. I don't know whether Edgar was cognizant enough to crawl down and test the ground. It's like, oh, it's still here, and stay or just stayed up there. But yeah, it's like they wait you out, and they get the idea. Rhonda gets the idea that the things had heard them through the vibrations in the rock. Like, okay, they're still here. They didn't the sounds didn't stop because they were chatting all night or snoring or whatever.
Snoring, breathing, they're
Yeah.
very sensitive to vibration, which humans produce a lot of.
Yes. So the three of them pole vault to the trucks where they plan to just jump in and go. They got to move fast so the truck doesn't get dragged into the ground. Rhonda grabs her key out of her pocket, sticks it in her mouth, and as soon as they jump into the bed of the truck, she dives through the back window, turns on the car, and punches it basically. Her legs hanging out the back window, driving incredibly well for being face down, pushing her hand on the gas.
Yeah.
It follows the road a little
Very
little better
well.
than it probably should have, but I'm not gonna.
A lot better than it probably should have, because on the way down she's like, "Can one of you guys help me?" And it's like, "Well, what do you do? Does she drive that way all the way? I mean, at what? Because that thing is probably following them. I mean, I would assume.
Probably. Well,
When does
maybe
it stop following them? Because if it waited them out, wouldn't it follow them?
you'd think, but they get back to town and nothing's following them right now.
True. And somehow they managed to get far enough away to where they could like drive the truck normally.
Yeah, maybe they outrun it. Maybe Val swung into the passenger side. Who knows? They were able to get it situated enough time to drive out of there.
Okay, yeah. And I wish they made little trucks like that still.
Yeah.
Little four-cylinder pickup trucks. Those are so nice.
So they get back to town. They can't get Bert and Heather on the radio, whether it's just interference, crappy radio reception, but they're having trouble getting Bert and Heather on the line. And this is when Walter comes up with the name graboids. He's trying to think of what these things should be called. They got to name them because they can claim it. It's like, this is ours. These are he's like graboids. Let's call them graboids.
Yeah, him and Melvin were going over names back and forth, weren't they?
Yes.
Melvin's the kid's name.
Yep, Melvin. But this is when they're talking about hunkering down and just trying to wait them out, or how best to deal with this situation. Like, they're in the ground, right? We just stay out of the ground or above the ground. And this is where Val pulls the map of the kind of the valley out. Like, look, they're headed straight for the town. This is where Edgar was at. This is where the farm was. This is the doctor's place. This is where we were at. They're coming this way, and we don't have a lot of people left.
No, we're at 10 and Rhonda.
Yep. And then you hear Melvin screaming outside again for his crying wolf joke. He's like, "Oh, I'm being attacked again," and they're like, "Hey, I'm joking. I'm fine." But the sudden realization that these things are headed towards town, Melvin freaking everybody out. Nancy starts looking for Mindy because she's nowhere to be seen, and Melvin's like, "Oh, she's out there pogo sticking around for a little bit." So Nancy heads out to look for Mindy. Melvin's outside playing basketball. They're trying to just figure out the best way to deal with the situation, and then Melvin screams again, and this pisses everybody off.
So they all go out there to kill the kid.
Yeah, everybody's like, You need to shut up. We're in an emergency state now. This is not good." Melvin had been bouncing his basketball, and it went down and got sucked into the ground. So they come out and see Melvin up a pole with a big gash on his leg where something tried to get him.
Yep. Now, did you actually see the thing take the basketball?
You the basketball hits the ground, you hear the sound of it getting sucked up in a poof of dirt.
Okay, I might have a different version than you.
I was I was gonna compare notes and something on that because the version I watched had a lot less swearing than I remember.
Yeah, the version I had a lot less swearing in it too.
Oh, did it? Okay.
It only had one F word.
Yeah, that was in the covert.
Yep,
Yep.
and I don't, and it wasn't even the full F word. But yeah, I mean, I remember Dad saying, "Oh, I love the movie, but the language is horrible." And then I remember watching it, and be like, "This isn't bad at all."
No, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles has more language than this.
Yeah,
And I got a note in here for one part that stands out, but
but yeah. So we're outside, and Melvin's up a pole, and they
oh yeah,
realize that they're here,
yep, they are here. Buildings start shaking, the store starts shaking.
which might mean that they did follow them back to town,
Yes, just a little
actually,
little delayed.
because they're not quite as fast as the truck.
Right. Good. Yeah, actually, probably did follow them right into town. But this is where we find out where Mindy is. She's pogo sticking and listening to her Walkman, trying to get her attention to stop and get somewhere. And Val runs out there to save her, grabs her off the pogo stick, and the pogo stick just gets sucked into the ground.
And then shot back out of the
Yep. And
ground.
then shot back up. Where the thing's like, "This isn't food."
There's nothing on here.
Yeah. Where'd the thing go that was making noise? Oh, people are running everywhere. People are trying to get up, get back to the store. Rhonda gets tangled in some barbed wire and loses her pants.
Yeah, that's what happens.
Yep, she gets free. They realize the second graboid has showed up. They get that cool shot of the floorboards outside of the store rippling as they're running down in back to the front door of the store. We cut to inside the store where everything's calm for a few minutes. They're cleaning up the barbed wire wounds on Rhonda's legs, giving her pants again, whispering about the plan, trying to keep quiet as things go on. The cooler earlier that was never fixed compressor kicks on and starts screaming like we heard earlier. Everybody's panicking. He's like, "Oh, shut it off! Unplug it!" And we learned that the graboids can go through wooden floors because they burst through and take out Walter,
They
our
get
store owner.
Walter. And what a performance from Walter.
Yeah, yeah. I remember not liking that as a kid. I was sad
No,
that Walter
that was
got eaten.
terrifying. But I mean,
Yeah,
looking back at it as an adult, I mean, good on him pretending to be eaten by a giant Muppet.
that is a very that is a very good way to put that. I like it.
Yeah. So now we're down to 9 plus Rhonda.
Yes. At this point, the graboids have realized, hey, we can go through the floor of the store. Let's just bring the store down. So they start shaking the walls, working on the sides, trying to get this thing pulled into the ground while everybody's trying to climb up on the counters, the tables, the racks, and like, hey, look, there's the roof hatch. So they're trying to get to where the roof hatch is when shelves start falling over. Rhonda gets kicked out of the window as Val's headed up the roof hatch, and as he gets to the edge, he looks down, and Rhonda's gone.
Yeah, so he's telling her to jump, and she's like clinging for dear life and won't jump. And I'm going, you pole vaulted from rock to rock to rock to your truck, and you can't jump from shelf to shelf. Are you kidding?
Yeah, that does seem a little unfortunate.
It's like, come on, Rhonda, what are you doing?
But we find out shortly that she had scurried over to the water tower and shuffled up that. So she's off the ground. We've got everybody kind of taking cover higher up. We've got Melvin's perched out on a shed. We got Earl, Val, and Miguel on the store. Rhonda's on the water tower. Ned is on top of his trailer, and Nancy and Mindy are on their house.
Yes, and we still have not seen Bert and Reba.
Yes, Bert and Heather. Bert and
Heather,
Reba.
got it. Sorry, couldn't think of her name.
That's okay. And this is the first time we see Bert and Heather for a while, actually. After everybody kind of gets secure, they make it back home. They start trying to radio the store to see what's going on. And while Heather's out there looking at the town through binoculars, Bert's inside pouring himself a drink.
Pouring himself a drink. Didn't he just crack a beer?
Yeah. Yeah, that's what it was. He wasn't pouring it. He cracked himself a beer. Um,
Pour himself a drink. That's pretty fancy for Bert.
yeah, at least he's sitting down there on the radio trying to get them to explain, and what Val kind of hangs down and reaches in the store and grabs the radio, so they pull it up onto the top and tell them, "Hey, get out of your house, get out of your basement. They're in the ground. We're panicking." And Bert's like, "I can't hear you. Come over. Come on. What are you saying? That there's still the disconnect. They're having trouble hearing each other."
Okay, so they're having trouble hearing each other,
Yes.
but we can hear them clearly.
Yes.
Okay, that part frustrated me. This part did.
We could hear them just fine because we weren't they weren't doing a lot of hearing the radio from the other side whenever whoever was talking on the radio would jump back and forth.
Mhm.
So we heard them just fine. We didn't realize there was a lot of static or issues until Bert's like, "I can't hear you. What's going on?"
Okay, that could have been done differently because I found that part very frustrating
Yeah.
when I'm hearing everything clearly coming through the radio, and they're just like, it's not clicking.
Yeah.
They keep saying, "Get on the roof," and Bert's like, "Ah, uh-huh."
Right, because we're hearing them say, "Get on the roof," and then all was like, "I can't hear you."
But even so, like Heather saw everyone on the roof,
Yeah.
and they're saying, "Get on." They're saying, "Get something." Like I don't know how much of them they're getting. They're
Yeah.
clearly getting at least part of it.
It does start coming through a little clearer, and Reba, Heather's like, "Listen to them, Reba, Reba, Heather, listen to them. We gotta get out of here. They're saying something." And he's like, "What?" And for whatever reason, Heather dumps a bunch of casings into a casing polisher and turns that on,
Great idea.
and they're just doing their normal thing, and all of a sudden the wall starts shaking, and over the radio you hear, "Oh Jesus!" and it goes dead. And Val and Earl and they just kinda hang their head like, "Crap."
Yep. So one of the graboids bursts through their basement wall.
Yep.
Bert and Heather's
Uh,
basement wall.
yep, Bert and Heather's basement wall because it's not concrete, it's cinder blocks,
Right.
which yeah, we'll give them that.
Eh,
But, but you can hear the sounds of gunfire from the point of view of the town, like, "Oh, they're putting up a fight." And then it cuts back to Bert's place where they're just pulling gun after gun after gun off the wall, which is being stored, loaded on the wall. It's 50 to 60 guns easy.
oh
Just
yeah.
Bert finally heads over to a big glass case that's got an elephant gun in it, which is surprisingly not loaded.
Yeah. The one he doesn't keep loaded.
Yeah, the elephant gun he doesn't keep loaded, I guess for safety.
Yeah.
But he breaks the glass case, gets the elephant gun, puts I wanna say three slugs from the elephant gun, maybe 2, into the graboid that's still in their basement flailing its head around trying to get them, but they end up killing it, radioing back and letting the townsfolk know that they killed the mother humper,
Yes. That's
which
that
is
is that is not what they said in the original movie.
okay, is that what they said on the copy that you saw?
Uh-huh.
Okay, and yeah, it's like it's like, "That's great, Heather. Repeat, there are 2 more mother humpers still out there."
Yes.
And it's like, the mouth doesn't line up, like, did they change that at some point? Because I coulda sworn it wasn't that before.
I know it's weird, but I mean it's the legit copy of the movie.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know why it would be changed. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if there's a if they tailored some of the language or we're just misremembering because I don't know. If anybody remembers that scene, remembers it anything other than mother humpers, let us know.
If you have a VHS copy of that movie and you can correct us on the language of that, please feel free to write in. Watch it bro podcast at gmail.com. Thank you.
Good plug.
I try to get those in there every now and again. I've been slacking this one.
That's okay. So they've got an idea. They think Bert's truck is the only one that can get out of the valley because it's a big 4 wheel beast of a thing. It should be able to make it to the mountains where they could take the old Jeep trail out of the valley to Bixby, where they can get the cops and everything. And before they can finish explaining their plan, the graboids start messing around with stuff in the town and knock over Nestor's trailer. I think I've been calling him Ned.
You've been calling him Ned.
His name is Nestor. I am sorry, I got a name wrong.
Well, that nice of you to get his name right just before he's no longer important to the story.
I have it written down. And and first, I'm not entirely sure, and I meant to look this up, but I didn't. I don't know if Nestor is Melvin's dad, because Melvin's otherwise I don't know who Melvin is attached to in town. It's not he's not related to Miguel. He's not related to Val and Earl. He's not Nancy's son. He's got to be Ned's son.
Nestor,
Nestor. Oh, poor Nestor. I didn't give him the I did Nestor dirty.
you did Nestor wrong this whole podcast.
And you didn't correct me.
No, a local boy. It says Melvin is a local boy who irritates people with pranks. His name is Melvin Plug, and Nestor is Nestor Cunningham. There's, yeah, there's nothing in here that says Melvin's related to anybody.
Okay, because the only reason I thought that is because Nestor gets knocked off his trailer. They're like, "Come on, get up!" And he crawls into a large tire and sits in it and gets sucked into the tire. Which
Yeah.
good job, Nestor. But Melvin really freaks out at that death. He didn't seem to care too much about Walt or what was going on, but he starts freaking out. He's like, "You gotta do something. You gotta save him or something." So that's why I thought maybe it was his dad or uncle or something is just living with him. Who knows? But so it looks like Melvin's just a kid in town that is attached to nobody.
Yeah. Okay. So, I looked it up on the Google,
Okay.
and it says Nestor is not Melvin's dad. Melvin's parents left him alone a lot when they went to gamble in Las Vegas.
Okay. So that puts us more than 14. Now maybe Edgar and Fred are outside the city limits, so they don't count as citizens of perfection, and maybe the doctor doesn't either since they're further out. They're not in the city.
No, they're not even in the city. They're building a house in town.
Right.
So they're from Bixby?
Mm. But they're close to perfection, just not in the city limits. Same with Bert and Heather, though. They live just outside, so maybe there's more people I didn't account for. But
Maybe? I don't know now. Well, we're gonna drive ourselves nuts.
true. To be fair, we're trying to figure out the population and logistics of a small town in a horror movie.
Yes. That no one ever goes to. When was the last time
Right.
that sign was updated? Is it population 14 in 1902?
No, it's a newer sign than that. Anyway, um,
So Nestor gets killed.
yes, Nestor gets killed. Where are we? So yeah, Nestor gets killed. So they start telling Bert about their idea again that his truck can get to the Jeep Trail in the mountains and take it just fine. So they should go for help. No, that's right. They're saying that they can't go for help because even if they do get the truck to the trail, it's 36 miles away, and the graboids will have the town completely demolished by then, leaving nobody left. So Bert and Heather is like, okay, the plan is we'll come pick you all up and we'll get out of here. And the graboids, for whatever reason, decides Bert's truck looks like an option for them to escape, so they drag that underground.
They heard them and they understood what their plan was, and they're like, no.
Yeah, they were doing nothing with the truck. It was just sitting there, and then all of a sudden, maybe it's because the alarm started going off when they were moving around. The car alarm went off.
Did it?
Yeah. I can't remember if the car alarm started going. I'm guessing the car alarm went off first as they were circling Bert's place, and they're like, "Ooh, there's noise," and then they pulled that under. That makes a lot more sense than them just randomly grabbing the truck.
Yeah. But did they pull the truck under or they just flatten the tires?
They flattened the tires and then pulled it under like they did the other car.
Okay. So that idea is out.
Yes. The plan is still to get to the rocks. They're trying to figure it out, and they realize that they need something big, something the graboids can't lift and move and drag underground like a tank or something. And they get the idea of the bulldozer we saw in the beginning they were using trash with, the little earth mover. I'm like, well, we can't all fit on that. How we do that? I'm like, well, there's an old trailer over there that's got flat tires. The cat can get hooked up to that. It'll drag anything out of there, especially even if it's bald tires or flat tires. It'll still move. So they got a plan. They'll hook the caterpillar up to the trailer, pick everybody up, and just take the. Oh, I thought I wrote it down. I think it's like 9 miles from town to the Jeep Trail.
It is 9 miles.
But the tractor is quite a ways away. And Miguel comes up with the idea of turning on Walter's little riding lawnmower and just letting it go. Like turn it on, let it drive, and let the graboids chase that while they run to the caterpillar and get everything hooked up. So I'm like, hey, that's a good idea. The lawnmower is just below the windows here next to the store. So they rig that up really quickly, send it on its way, and Val and Earl again Rochambeau to see who's going to do it. And Val loses. He's like, "Oh shucks, I got to do it," because he was going to do it anyway. He wanted to do it, and Earl's like, "No, you're going to screw it up. I got to do it." And Val's like, "Oh, I lost. I better do it." And Earl's like, "No, no, I win. I decide. I do it." As the lawnmower takes off, Val elbows Earl in the stomach and jumps off the roof, biffing it.
Yeah, hard. That looked like it hurt.
Yeah, but he recovers pretty quickly and runs to the machine. So they're getting ready for their big escape plan. Little lawnmower keeps going while Val hooks up the cat to the trailer.
No, he doesn't make it.
No, he does not make it. That's right. The lawnmower hits a little bump and falls over. Val's kind of stuck in the middle between the store and the cat.
The cat.
They're yelling at him to stop. He stops running. Little worm hands come up to try and find him. He's lifting his foot up and trying to dodge it. They're trying to make noise. Little tentacles go back in, but it's not working. He sees it right there. They're yelling for the thing to come back to the town and trying to make enough noise to distract it. And Rhonda gets the idea to kick the water pipe on the water tower.
And I gotta say, like when they're yelling to try to get the graboids to come back over, it was the cringiest close-ups of everybody's faces during that.
No, yeah, it was a little cringy.
It was cringy. Yeah. But yeah, so she, brilliant. But so she's kicking the water tower pipe she climbs down the ladder to kick the pipe. The pipe that supplies the town with water.
Yeah, yeah.
So any kind of smacking on that pipe is going to reverberate all the way down into the ground, rendering it actually kicking it moot.
I suppose, yeah. Nope, yeah, you're right.
That's not what happens. She breaks the pipe and the water splashes on the ground.
Right. The water splashes on the ground. It calls the graboid over, which gives Val enough time to run to the cat, hook everything up, and then start driving to pick up the rest of the townsfolk. They get everybody off the roofs. They get the town set up, and then they just have to go pick up Bert and Heather, who are we see DIYing some bombs.
Yes, they are. It looks like they're using part of their ventilation from their roof.
Yes, yes, they're pulling off the vent system. They're taking off the chunks of the vent system, the pipes, but they make a good 15 of them. It looks like.
Yeah, a good handful of them anyway.
Yeah,
Enough for what they want to do. I
yeah.
think.
So they get everybody loaded up. So we are the crew that is headed to the rocks and the Jeep Trail are Val and Earl, Rhonda, Nancy and Mindy, Melvin, Miguel, Bert, and Heather.
Yeah, because Ned didn't make it.
Nestor,
Nestor. Yeah.
Nestor,
Pete, if you're paying attention.
who is not who is not Melvin's father.
And the only description on the Wikipedia for that is a resident.
So they're headed to the mountains. They've got a clear shot. They're all happy. They're kind of celebrating, like we did it. We're getting out of here. And they see off in the distance some dirt flying in the air. You hear the graboid noise. The pff, pff. Like what are
Mhm.
they doing? It's like I don't care. It's not near us. It's like great.
Maybe they should have been paying attention.
They should have been paying attention because the mother humpers built a trap.
Good callback there.
Thank you,
Remember, Mom and Dad are going to listen to this.
hi, mom and dad. It wasn't a bad word.
No, no. No, you're fine.
Yeah, they set a trap. They dug a kind of a ditch, and when the cat hit it, it dropped down and got stuck, stopping their forward momentum. They're not far from the area, but they're far enough where it's detrimental. They are trying to figure out the best way to continue on, and it's like, well, fine. Bert's like, you want to eat something? Eat this, and chucks one of his bombs out there. As it blows up, the noise reverberates and the graboids just take off. You can see the dust trails going in two separate directions. The noise that reverberated through the ground scared them or hurt them or whatever, but it drove them away. So the plan is to throw another one towards the rocks that they want to get to, so they can get out of the little the trailer and the cat. And then once the bomb goes off, they can run towards it, towards the rocks, and get back up to safety.
Solid plan.
Yep. Melvin's reluctant to go, so Bert gives him a gun.
Yeah. Yeah, he does.
He's like, "Oh, sweet." So he throws the bomb, it goes off. They all jump onto the ground and start booking it towards these rocks. Maybe a minute later of them running towards the rocks, the graboids turn around, start coming back, and Melvin's freaking out. He aims his gun over to the dirt pile coming towards him and starts clicking. It's not loaded.
Of course not.
No, Bert wouldn't give him a loaded gun.
No one would give that kid a loaded gun.
True, but they make it to the rocks and start talking about their options. They determine that they think they might need at least 50 more bombs if they're going to try and do that to run towards the actual mountains. Like I said, they're close, but they're not really close. They don't have that many bombs. Bert's like, well, you know what? Before hunger takes me, I will take one of these bombs, walk out there, light it, and let these things eat me. And they're like, well, that's a great idea.
Yeah. Not the bird getting eaten.
Right, not the Bert saying get eaten, but the idea of getting a bomb in them. So they decide to go fishing. They tie a rope around this bomb, light it, chuck it out there, and start dragging it on the ground a little bit. Graboid comes up, eats the bomb, and boom.
Success. We are down to one graboid.
Yes, and the plan worked perfectly, like ridiculously perfectly. They start teeing it up again, like throw a couple rocks into the ground where they're gonna throw the dynamite, get the dynamite all ready. They realize this last one, is the one that grabbed their truck all that time ago.
And they've been slowly setting up, or not slowly, I guess, setting up the fact that these graboids are highly intelligent. They learn and adapt very, very quickly.
Yes, yes, they've been learning. Like people go, they're like, okay, they're in a car, we can pull that car down. They're up on a building, let's take that building down. Let's do this. They built the trap. They've been doing that. So when they tossed the dynamite out there for this one, they called him Stumpy too because it was missing one of the. It took in the Stumpy took the bait and then spit it out back at them. So they got the dynamite or the bomb flying back towards them, and everybody panicked and runs trying to get over the side of the rock, getting off to the edge, and it lands in the pile of all the other bombs and just creates a big explosion.
That's what happened to the other bombs.
Yeah.
That's right. I remember now.
So we come back to it. Everybody else is kind of crawling back up on the rocks, but Val, Earl, and Rhonda are like 40 feet away from the rocks. They were off the rocks. They got blown out. But anyway, they're a ways away. So like, okay, throw the bomb and come running back to the rocks, and we'll get to the safety. So they're trying to distract and get the attention of the graboid to go back to the big rock so they can do their plan again. And Val's looking at the ground and he's like, okay, this thing's smart. This thing's not moving. He knows it's right in front of him, waiting.
Waiting for them to give up their position. So
Yep, waiting for them to move, waiting to have any indication. This is when Val has himself a plan.
doesn't share the plan.
Nope, he has a bomb in his hand. He was holding one while they were fishing, so this is the last bomb he's got. Then the plan was to throw the bomb back towards the rock so they could run back to the rock. But he's got it. He's like, no, no, and he just books it. And the graboid rails up and and screeches like it does, and Rhonda and Earl follow him.
Yeah, well, that was a great joke because Val's like, I got an idea, and he starts taking off running, and the graboid goes, and Earl's like, well, I'm not waiting around for this, and so he takes off
Yeah,
after Val, and then he's got like, who's got the lighter? And Rhonda's like, that's
that's
me. And
yeah. She takes off after him too. So the three of them are running, and they pan out, and this is where they were fixing the fence. It's the cliff where they are at. So they're running towards the cliff. Rhonda, they get to the edge of the cliff. The graboid's chasing them. Rhonda hands him the lighter, and Earl's like, "What's your plan? Throw the bomb." And it's like, not yet, not yet. And Earl and Rhonda take off running to either side. And Val's is looking at it, takes the bomb and tosses it. And he's like, you threw it past it, you dumb. And the bomb goes off. Val jumps and it scares the graboid straight out of the cliff, basically. You get an airborne graboid as it goes out the cliff, starts falling, and lands on the ground in a spectacular explosion of tomato soup goodness.
is it tomato soup or is it pumpkin guts? It looks like
A
pumpkin
little
guts.
bit of both. I don't know. It was an orangey liquid.
Pumpkin guts, pumpkin soup,
Maybe.
pumpkin spice. That's how we got there.
But they did it. Everybody's happy. Everybody's excited.
And then it turns out there was 4 more.
No, but now we find out that Val's kind of got a thing for Rhonda. Earl and Val are talking about making money with the discovery. Rhonda's got to do a bunch of research. Val and Earl's pushing Val's like, "Come on, dude!" And Val goes and kisses Rhonda, and
Yeah, this forced love story that
yeah,
never developed at all.
they didn't spend that much time together, but it's Kevin Bacon. He's hot, so why not?
Fair, but like we made fun of the love story in Tommy Boy, and this was far worse of a love story than
Oh,
Tommy Boy.
we can make fun of this one too.
We should we should. It was awful.
But the credits roll with a Reba song.
Yes, and I wondered, like, did they just have Reba for this movie so they could use her music?
Maybe, but that was Tremors.
Yeah, that was Tremors,
That was Tremors. This is the first of 7 Tremors movies
and
and a small TV series.
it's well, yes, and Bert is in all 7 movies.
He is, and the star of the show.
Spoiler alert to anybody that
Oh
I mean,
yeah, if
if you haven't seen them, I mean,
if yeah, if I haven't seen him, Bert's in all the movies.
I've seen 1 through 3. Do I
Have
maybe?
you?
I've seen 2.
Okay, I remember 2 because Fred Ward was
Right.
the lead in that one because Val left town.
That was the one with the blasters, right?
That was the no, that was the one with the Shriekers.
Okay, so which one was the blasters?
That's free. That was
Okay. So I've seen 1 and 3.
okay.
And I don't know if I've seen all of 3. I've just seen the end of 3.
Okay, that's fair.
But yeah, so this is the first time I've seen Tremors in, like I said,
A long time.
close to 30 years. And I watched it twice. It was interesting to watch it again because I only watched it as a kid and it scared me so badly that I never wanted to watch it again. Even into adulthood, I had really no desire to watch it again. I appreciated what it was, and that it was a cult classic. It had a cult following. I was never a member of that cult.
But yeah, I I remember this movie fondly growing up. I watched it a lot. I watched it recently. I've seen all 7 of the movies. As far as the first movie, this movie, I haven't seen it in about 15 years, but I've seen the other ones more recently because they came out more recently. Like, oh, Tremors 5 is coming out, or Tremors 6, the ice one.
The ice one.
Yeah.
Do they get ridiculous?
Oh, they're all ridiculous, but they're awesome.
Okay, so Tremors 1 is not like a great movie.
It's a fun movie.
It's a fun movie if you take it for what it is.
Yes, yes. I mean, like we said, it moves quickly. It gets to the point. It does its thing.
It's campy.
Yeah, but
Okay,
it's fun. It jumped on the bandwagon of, I don't want to say bandwagon, but it's like let's more horror movies, more thrillers and stuff coming out. But
because I watched it twice preparing for this episode, and I had to say, like, the first time, and I watched it with my wife because we're
okay,
gonna watch every movie together because that's just what we do. But the first time I watched it, I had it already like in my mind that this was going to be a scary, brilliant horror movie because that's what I remembered it being as a 7 or 8 year old kid being absolutely terrified of it. And
yeah.
so when I saw it again, it didn't hold up to that memory of it. I was like, what is this? And so we spent the better half of the first time watching it, making fun of it and laughing at it.
I mean, it's more comedic than I remembered initially.
Yeah. But then when we watched it the second time, because like I like to watch once for taking notes, and then once the night before we record, just so it's fresh.
Yeah,
And when I watched it the second time, and I knew what to expect, and I knew what it was,
yeah.
I was able to watch it and like have fun with it and enjoy it.
That's good.
Am I gonna watch it again? Probably not. I'm gonna
Are
give
are you gonna
my
watch the other 6 movies?
Probably not. I'm gonna give my copy over to Dad since you have his.
I need to find that.
Keep it. I have
Okay.
I have the 1 through 4. I think it's the same set that
Yeah,
you have.
probably.
I already talked to Dad. I was like, hey, we're doing Tremors for our next episode, when we're done, do you want my copy of it? I'm going to give it to him. Maybe he and I will watch it in a couple of years. I don't know. But as far as me watching Tremors again, I don't really have much desire to do so or finish the series out.
That's fair.
Yeah, it wasn't for me. I appreciate it. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed Kevin Bacon. I enjoyed everybody in it. It's not one of those movies that I'm like, I have to watch this again.
I get that.
I apologize to the diehard Tremors fans out there.
They made 7.
They made 7 of them, and I'm sure there's going to be plenty of Trevor Trevor Tre can't even
Trevor
talk.
fans.
Tremors fanatics that are gonna be listening to this, and I understand why you like it, and I get fandom like that. I do. It's just Tremors isn't for me.
That's fair. And I'm on the other side of it. I like Tremors. I had a blast watching it again. I probably will end up watching the other 6 in the next month or so, just as just maybe not all of them, but the next few. I remember liking number 2 pretty well, and Bert's always fun. So
Yeah,
we'll see. But I do enjoy the movies, as cheesy and campy as they can be. It's a good watch. And
yeah.
I am entertained and have a good time while watching them.
And if we're ever in a scenario where like me and you are hanging out, and you're like, dude, you want to watch Tremors too? I'll be like, you know what? Yeah, throw it on. Sure, let's
Yeah,
do it. It's just as far as like if I'm sitting at home picking a movie to watch, none of the Tremor movies are gonna be one that I'm gonna go to.
that is fair.
If I'm hanging out with someone and they're like, dude, we should totally watch Tremors 4, I'm gonna be like, yeah, I agree, probably should.
Like, do I need to watch 2 and 3 first? 'Cause
I'm assuming no.
probably
I'm
not really.
yeah,
Especially once you get into 6, 7, or 5, 6, and 7.
yeah, yeah.
One's a good one to start with, and then 2 is pretty good. Anyway,
See, I mean, sequels always go downhill.
yeah. Well, and then 4 was a prequel that took place at the in 1902 when perfection was established.
Right. Yeah, yeah. No, I remember because I looked it up and I saw that Bert was in there, but he wasn't. His character wasn't Bert, and I go,
Right.
well,
He
what's
was,
what's his?
crap, what's his last name's Gummer, but he was his ancestor
Right.
establishing the settlement of perfection in
Identical character, but still.
oh, yeah,
I mean,
but
yeah. I mean, but that's kind of a fun thing in the series, and that I think that Tremors fans would really appreciate,
and I did.
and did. Yeah, yeah. So like, yeah, definitely don't want hate mail just because I didn't care for it or it's not for me, but I definitely
Oh, we won't get
appreciate it.
hate mail.
No, but I can see why it's got such a following, and I can see it's it's I get it.
It's just
I
not
un-
for you.
I understand it. Yeah, absolutely, and I have a lot of respect for it. I'm just not gonna go out of my way to watch it.
That's fair.
Yeah,
But, well, that was Tremors.
yes, it was, which moves us along to episode 3 coming up.
Yeah. Do you have a plan for episode 3?
I have a movie picked out for episode 3,
Ooh.
and we are going to go back to my favorite genre, which is comedy. And I dare say this movie is a classic. It's got two of the greatest actors in it who couldn't stand each other during filming. Any guesses?
I do not have any guesses.
What about Bob? I think we need to just jump right into What About Bob?
Oh, I remember liking that one. It's that one's been a while. I'll tell you, I don't think I've seen that in 20 years.
Well, then it's about time we watch it then.
Yeah, I guess so.
All right. So, our next episode, stay tuned for our next episode, which will be us discussing and breaking down What About Bob. If you'd like to reach out to us, you can do that via email, watchitbropodcast@gmail.com, or you can contact us on Twitter at watchitbropod. And as always, thank you to Nihilore for providing both our intro and our outro tracks. That intro track is titled Grace, and that outro track is titled Haven. Thank you for joining us on this adventure through Tremors. We will see you next time with What About Bob? Thank you for watching.